Okay, this is the GDG Nashville September meetup. Starting recording. This is an ad hoc meeting that we're having where we're going to be talking about just whatever projects each individual who attends is working on right now. And we got this topic a little bit late because I think we initially envisioned presenting something else, but it's come together. There's a few people that are actually going to present. So right now we're doing our food eating part of the meeting, and I guess probably in about 15 minutes we'll start presenting. But that's where we are right now. So we're just talking. You want to play a shark game or anything else?
Well, so that's my problem, because they can't really do certain things. Well, yeah. Well, that's really it's trouble. So yeah, that's what they can't really make big here. Yeah, it's like yeah, Did you ever go? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. What's your primary working? In IT. Okay. It's right over there.
Guest Wi-Fi, you don't need a password.
No, BMI guest is open.
This is actually the regular stick.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably use that for show.
So plug it in there.
Yeah. See if it's gonna work. Let me sit on this side of the bed.
I'll just wait till
You can take my seat. I'm not really sitting here.
Oh, where are you sitting? Right here.
Oh, you want that one? You
I
got
just
it.
grab this right here. Move that over.
We have actually, that's like, yeah.
Just wanted to give him power to see if it's gonna do that.
Hey, we got more people.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to add or. Yeah. I think if I do it again, I'll use a lot, just use very strict templates. This is what you get. This is what you get. So it will content more in there. We'll just call it. Well, I custom. That was it. No problem. That's a little low. That'd be great. I'll give you this one. I'll give you $100. I look at that. No. I'm going to worth of that.
Switch the other side.
Well, I think it's well, maybe have something like that. That's the reason why and just continue working. But it is very easy.
Yeah.
What word that? You pay me more.
What's your guys' physical address? Doesn't it pay clear?
I'm gonna, I said, I'm not that pretty well.
Yeah, coach. Yeah, coach. Yeah.
Michael, I said he had the red board out. Wow.
It's not that good, girl.
Oh, they came
No, it
out.
wasn't. I never. Yeah. My name is all released. Free. Just pay that for in-app purchases. I guess the check mark developer console or whatever is there. You can put it in. Merchant account. You can have a different address, that's all, you have different address in your merchant account as well. Well, unless they changed it yesterday. Yeah, so it had to be a physical address. But I think they revised that yesterday, before it actually went live. Just an address.
Tech convention. Here in Nashville, it is one of the longest running nonprofits hacker in the regional conventions in the world. We've got a good Halloween weekend. We've got Chad Rainey from Georgia Tech just confirmed. He's the kid who built the nuclear reactor out of fake stuff when he was 16.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it slightly bigger, so it's been like, that's true of the policies. But, the thing that's been good for me is like, how much I the whole time, anytime I'm on 4 hours.
This is my first time.
Oh, it's huge.
I've never made here. Yeah, my
I'm around and switching guys. This is way over.
I love it, and it just integrates with like that. Right.
Our email system.
So I use it all the time whenever I log in.
You ever hear of Miami? He calls Cisco. He's the one who Cisco of course, sued the hell out of hired him that weekend and said, signed an NDA, okay, here's the source code of everything that we made, go over and top to bottom and keep our guys out of code security. So basically he wrote all the Juno stack and then property security people want to make sure they weren't going to fall into the same thing as Cisco did. Apparently his name is still a curse word at Cisco.
No, it's important to Christians.
One of the reasons that he didn't wind that underneath jail is that at the time, up until 2005, most of the stuff that the U.S. government involved was Cisco mandated. Cisco wasn't just the government, it was also military intelligence community guys. And they were, yes. They were, Cisco knew about it, so they were pissed that Cisco knew about it and didn't them vulnerable because Mike was investigating this stuff.
Dope.
Mike and I shared a house in Atlanta. Got
Yeah.
Cisco access. We got Cisco routers on Cisco communication. And researching this stuff for ISS, we kept bumping into Chinese rooms that were working on the same thing. So back one, that's when we punch, two, the Chinese were investigating, three, if Cisco does not tell our military intelligence community about it, then he got a bunch of delays.
But what could it do? I mean, reroute traffic, just fly out all traffic.
Remote execution of Cisco route. Stuff, had some Cisco stuff co-located. That stuff is outside of so you guys just go out and set globally, you got your checks in there, all the data that you made, you can stop part of the spread. Once you're down, it really wants to grab out of the rewrite the firmware garbage. I have I hope so.
You know, I first go right down by around east.
Yeah, I'm serious. That's what I was
They know.
You guys. Actually, we did. It wasn't
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I don't think.
Right next to you. I'm small paid before it came because I was like, I don't want to eat pizza. Now I'm sitting here and smelling pizza, and I'm like, but it smells so good. All those breadsticks. Man, breadsticks. So who's showing up today?
This is
Are you? Good. That's awesome. I've never seen anything that you've worked on.
give me a favor, edit. The actual.
You need to do that?
I think these batteries. I did too. It was good for 2 pushes, button pushes, and that.
What do I need to turn around?
Yeah, well, okay. As you guys know, we're just doing an ad hoc free-for-all this month, so whoever wants to talk about whatever they're doing, that's what we're doing. I think our first speaker will be Henry, because he was the first to get set up. So I'll let him go, but anybody that wants to talk, raise their hand. We'll know who's got stuff. You guys?
Doing a little different tonight. Anyone that wants to talk is going to get a full site card good for 1 month of online training. And at the end of the day, we're going to have a vote. And whoever is the favorite will get a Chrome Pass.
Yeah!
Okay. I have several presentations on the web. Right?
It doesn't have to be mobile. If there's anything cool you're working on, anything great.
And I had a project that was working on my glass, my Google Glass, but the glass won't move right now, so I don't know if it's going to be presentable.
Yeah, so real loose meeting tonight. It's whatever y'all want to do. And we'll get started. You guys know?
So, I don't know, you want to say anything more? Henry goes.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right, Henry, you ready to talk?
Yeah, sure.
Well,
All right, I'm Harry. I work at P&I. I'm on the second floor. I'm a programmer. I had an occasion to do some X-Means. So I built a project. I'm ready to put on a solder all together on print circuit boards and put it in my house. Right now, I'm still in the prototype stage. I saw that Joseph was running one with your bone at
More like Ed runs it, so give Ed credit.
All right, so the problem is I want to build a remote LED repeater so I can monitor my invisible transmitter. The visible vent that's installed outside in a big old electrical box, it's about 12 by 12. And on the right, you see the electronics in there. So an outlet, 110 outlet, a white thing, a lightning arrestor, and power supply plugged into that. Goes into the transmitter, which is very big. You can see there. The way the transmitter works, it blinks an LED on every 5 seconds. It stays on for 1 second and goes off. 5 seconds later, it comes back on for 1 second and goes off. That tells you it's working, that the line is secure, that it's not broken, and everything's working okay. If the line fall occurs, if the line breaks, lightning, or somehow it breaks, the LED boom, and it sounds a little alert. Because I put it in the box, obviously I can't see the LED, and I can't hear it either. I didn't want to solder anything to the transmitter because that would void the warranty. If something happened, you would say, well, you opened the box, so, take a hike. I didn't want to hardwire anything from inside the box to inside the house to show me that it was working. So I came around the idea of doing it wirelessly somehow. Just monitor the state of the LED and just transmit that state to the receiver inside the house. And then once it does that, also if the LED stops blinking, or stays on or stays off, something is wrong, and I wanted to sound an alert inside the house. So I came up with using two XB RF modules. And basically they're like, I think of them as wireless sensors that have 8 I/O pins, and they can be configured to digital input or analog to digital conversion. You can set them up, you can take them out of the box, start and plug them in 3 volts and up to the door. They're all connected. They find each other. And they connect a network of, I don't think there's any limit to how many you can connect.
Is that called a mesh?
Yeah. And there's 2 types of X's. You can find out more about them at digi.com. I use the Series 1, and Series 2 has the Zigbee network on it. That's what the mesh. So the way you program an XP is by a little adapter here, plug the XP into. Plug it into the USB. You run an application from digi.com called XCTU. Essentially, the next is just a bunch of registries. I don't know how many, but there's a lot of registries. And depending on what value you're setting it, it'll function different. So you plug it in, and you find it. And it'll look for it on a USB. Finds it, add it, and select it. Now it's loading all the register values into the laptop. So here are all the registers. They all have names for them. The ones that I was interested in are these two addresses. One's the destination address, low. It's a 64-bit address, but you can just set the lower 16 bits if you want for each device. Leave the upper addresses alone. If you want to communicate, they're all on the same channel. So you can have different channels in your house, each one different networks because each channel. So channel C will not talk to channel A or 2 or whatever, etc. And they all have to have the same PAN ID, personal address network and so on. So if you have the same channel, the same PAN ID, they will communicate with each other. And inside that network, this Zigbee, this particular XP will talk to 5678, and its own address is 1234. The other thing I was interested in was the digital I/O pin 0. I configured it to high. This is the transmitter. I mean the receiver. So I programmed that to be 5, which is data output high. I could have been data output low. In my case, it wouldn't matter, but it'd be 5. You could program that to be an input or to be an analog to digital converter. I don't know what that means. And then IA is, I programmed this to just reflect whatever the other XP is sending it. So pin 0, digital input 0 is high, he will set his own digital input high. But he will only listen to 5678. If you want to, if you set the address to FF, it will listen to any XP, and whatever XP sends it, it will set its pins to that XP. So that's how you program it. So in my case, the transmitter, I set the DL is 1234. He's going to talk to 1234. And his address is 5678. I set digital input 0 to 3 as an input, but change detect to 1. So anytime the pin changes, if it goes high, from low to high, or high to low, it will transmit the state to the XP. If it's just sitting there stagnant, not doing anything, it won't send any messages. And I can actually put them in the sleep mode. If you want to use a battery, I'm using 110. So. I address is what address I listen to, and the transmitter, it doesn't matter. It's not listening to anything. And then on the receiver, the destination is 5678, which is his address. And my address is 1234. So. And I set digital output to 5, digital 0 to 5 output. And change detect doesn't care, it doesn't matter because it's not monitoring yet. And then it's only going to listen to the IA, it's only going to listen to XP number 5678. So here's the schematic of the transmitter. Up top here is just the power supply, the jack, the input jack, a half-amp fuse, a little capacitor to take the noise out of the underused wall load. And then I have an LD33B, which is what's called an LDO, low differential output. So you can have a 5-volt in and a 3.3-volt out, which is what the NC needs. And the LDO means I can get 3.3 from a 5. And that's, normally you have to put like 12 volts in before you get a lower voltage. But LDO means you don't have to have that high differential. Then I have a 10 microfarad. These are suggested by the data sheets of this LD33 device. Put a 10 microfarad capacitor out here to take out the voltage. The 3.3 volt is only for the XP, that's all it is. So for the input, I have a photoresistor, photocell. And I put it right in front of the LED. It's blinking. And it's going to be an input to a voltage comparator. The way voltage comparator works is it monitors the voltage between the plus and the minus points. And if the plus is any bit higher than the minus, the output goes high. If the negative input goes higher than the plus, the output goes low. And then any difference, like millivolts difference, is all it takes. It just snaps to each state. So when this drops, when this conducts, when the LED is on, this photocell resistance will go down, the voltage here will drop, and it will become lower than the negative. What I have here is a potentiometer, and in the dark, I adjust the potentiometer to just be just about, keep it just a little bit higher than that, the voltage. So when this goes on, the voltage will just instantly snap and bring this lower. Now, the LM311 has what's called an open collector. It doesn't supply current, it sinks current. It will actually sink it to ground. And being an open collector is perfect for what I want because I can tie it to, I can put 40 volts or whatever the maximum is. It still powers the 5 volts because it's a separate circuit from the rest of the outputs. So for the open collector, I can tie a 3.3 volts right to it without needing any kind of special circuit. And when it goes low, this LED will light up. And I'm going to mount this LED outside the box, drill a hole, and put it in so I can see that. If I'm walking outside, I can see the light. That's what I did. And this is an isolation diode. When it goes low, whatever, I can put more diodes here, more circuits. Whenever this goes low, I can signal all these other different applications if I want. But in this case, it's going to pull pin 0 low. That's the circuit for the that's the whole circuit for the transmitter. So the LED lights up, this will go low, the output will go low, this will go low, and the XP will transmit, hey, my pin just changed. So now here's the receiver. The receiver has another XP. So he is programmed to IO, the output, VIO 0, the output. So when that transmitter goes low, he'll get the message and he'll turn his output from here will go low. And okay, here is this is called this is what's called a one-shot returnable one-shot. What it does is, if you have an input on A falling edge, that's the slash. You have a falling edge on A. Depending on this network, it will send out a pulse to Q, and the opposite pulse to not Q. For a duration determined by what resistor and capacitor you have. This is called an RC network. And you can look up in the data sheet that this is the calculation for the timing for the output pulse. So when this goes low, when this drops low, the output here will go high for this amount of time right here, depending on your RMC. So I needed anything longer than 5 seconds. So and they say the maximum for a resistor that you should use is 180K. So I stayed under the maximum. I picked the 150K resistor, and I did the calculation to determine what kind of capacitor, what size capacitor. So I came up with these, and we worked this out. With these values, 150K and 150 microfarads, you get 7.5 seconds. So this pulse will go out, it will generate a 7.5 second pulse. Now the transmitter is sending out a pulse every 5 seconds. It's going to turn on and turn off. So over here, the output's going to change on and off every 5 seconds. So the re-triggerable part means that when that pulse changes again, it'll keep that output. If the output is still high, it'll keep it high. It'll just keep re-triggering the one shot. Now, if the pulse fails, it stays high or it stays low, the output will time out and then it'll flip. This will go low, this will go high. And when this goes high, it'll turn on the transistor to power the sonar. It's like a muzzle. Real annoying high beat. So if the pulse ever stops, either stays on or stays off, this will time out and then the alert will come on. At the same time, this will reflect the state of the digital output 0. I'm just driving LED, that's all it does. So when this goes on, when this goes high, the LED lights up. Any questions? Clear? I'm probably going to use the push button here just to test it. So if I push that button, I should hit it.
Yeah, so let's see it. Let's see it go.
So in conclusion, the RF modules are really effective wireless sensors, and programming is pretty simple. And the docs is pretty thick. You got to really read through the docs, trying to understand. But once you do, it's just really simple. You set some values and some registers. Now I put a 30X feed connected to my computer. Here we see all the messages too, and from that I can put them onto the web, onto X10. I can control lights in my house, whatever I want, or send an SMS text message. One guy on the web did he hooked up a proximity sensor with X feed, and he sends messages to his telephone, to his phone. You get a message, and there was some reason to drive it. And if you're interested, this is the best book you can get to start experimenting with it. And then there's a product manual for X itself. These are all things. SparkFun has a lot of tutorials on all kinds of digital, all these hobbyist digital stuff. It's really good website. Want to know about comparator circuits? Right here. It tells you all the basics about comparators, how they work. It's got a lot of example circuits. That's why I got some more ideas. And then the transistor circuits, how to interface them, how to drive LEDs, and how to isolate circuits from each other. This website using transistors is very helpful. Here's some, I have all these if you want. These are hardware members I use. I got them on hardware from Mauser's very good. The Texas thing, I get them like the second day, I get them next day. It's very good. All electronics is really good stuff. They ship the same day too. I get them a couple days later and have really good prices. SparkFun, again, have hardware and tutorials, PGPs, hardware, attitude. It's for hobbyist electronics. It's very much like SparkFun. Amazon, I get a lot of hardware from Amazon and eBay. That's it for the presentation.
How much does that hardware cost? How much does a typical XP unit cost?
It's about $20, $28, something like that. Depends on, they have really long range ones. This is short range.
Okay.
Long range ones are about $5 to $10 a mile. They go like a mile outside, line of sight. Yeah. And those that have upstairs, Corey, he's going to automate his farm, and he's going to put XPs. He doesn't know how he's going to do it yet, but one of the options is using XPs for building the buildings to have his network. So these you can, I can control outputs. I can send it at the same time. I can tell it to turn something on inside the box. Not that I know. And then from the laptop, I can be running a program, and when I get a certain event, I can act on it. I can put a fan in there if I want to turn on a fan if it gets too hot. That kind of stuff. And this is breadboard. So as long as so this will be dark, and then the light comes on.
That's pretty annoying, Henry.
Here's a flash on the phone.
What's that?
Here's a flash on the phone.
Oh, huh?
Right.
Is that an aura? Is that an aura? Your phone. Is it an aura?
An aura?
ARA. I guess not. Never mind. The back of it looks like a modular phone.
Oh no. I was asking. I thought you said, does it have an aura? I was like, no.
ARA.
It's actually just a normal. It doesn't have a spirit or a soul.
No. Do you know what
I've never heard of aura, obviously.
ARA? Project ARA. This is Motorola. Well, Motorola's dev platform for building a modular phone where you plug in camera module, you plug in memory module. The back of it looks like that.
Okay, now that's just a case.
Yeah.
That's really
It's
fascinating.
curious.
Well, now I have to look.
I thought maybe that's what you were demonstrating, which would be awesome.
No, actually.
As well as customizable modular phone. Okay.
I have a couple of people. Mhm.
Tech convention coming up Halloween weekend. Show off. Something like that. Absolutely. Yes, we started off as a hacker.
Sorry, my hearing in this ear is bad.
We started off as a hacker back in the 90s. Hacker when the original system. Yeah, we're currently the longest running nonprofit. We're currently the longest running nonprofit hacking company. So, from Nashville, yeah, we've hung on longer than anybody else. So, I mean, DEF CON and both of them, but they're not nonprofits.
Well, I will.
Crypto challenge on the front, solve it with fabulous prizes.
Not likely. I haven't done crypto in about 10 years.
Not tough stuff. It's like Cypher, I guess, would be more accurate.
Yeah.
Pre-World War II stuff. No.
Oh, so this is human decipherable?
Yeah, technically we don't need a computer. Just pen and paper. We should be able to figure it out.
Technically in quotes or technically in reality?
Technically in reality, yeah.
So I could actually look at this maybe and figure something out.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
As I said, it's our World War II nuclear cipher techniques. There's no enigma machine or anything like that. It's I used stuff that people used to do just like pen and paper.
Well, if I find my
That's all I got.
Motorola contacts, hey, thanks,
A lot of
thanks.
people are writing down those links pretty quickly. Would you mind if we posted your slides?
Oh, no, sure.
All right, so if you miss anything, you don't have to worry about that.
I'll get with Henry after this and put them up on the Google Plus and Meetup pages. So, if that's okay with you, Henry,
Is that? Oh, yeah.
if it's okay with you, I'll just put them on our Google Plus or Meetup page. Are you ready? Well, whenever you are ready.
Yeah. Go whenever.
Go.
Need to get the,
Which, but you got it, don't you?
No, for my screen.
Oh, that one?
Yeah. You have one for Mac.
I do in my laptop. My cable's pretty long, not that long. Hang on, let me go grab it.
Appreciate it. Right here.
That reach?
Yeah. Please make sure you pull it off.
Yeah,
Sure you got it.
appreciate it.
Mind if I aim the camera at you?
Is this on?
No. Yeah, see if I aim it at that. It's not really good. So either I aim it at you or I hook you up to the Hangout. Or I could aim it at that.
Yeah, you can aim it at that.
Here you go. That's not bad.
Ready?
Yep. As soon as you're ready.
All right. This particular project was something. First of all, my name is Julian Bankston. This is just something that we've been working on, a partner of mine, for a while. The original purpose of it was to solve an issue where I develop applications for connected TVs like Roku, Android TV, iOS stuff as well. And at first, we were actually doing our back end by hand, feeding RSS feeds and XML feeds to different devices. So to kind of simplify that entire process, we pretty much created an entire online video platform. So basically, this particular project handles all of the encoding, HLS encoding for different devices. We built all the apps for it as far as the Roku stuff, and I can kind of show you and give you an example of something in real time. It gives analytics where I can actually track events from any device into Google Analytics. It parses it out and actually stores that information in a database. We run queries against it and provide engagement data as well. So it's just, this is something that we've been working on and off for about a year and a half. And I'll just kind of walk you through it real quick. Like when you first log in, you can create different apps for it. This screen's kind of janky, so excuse me on that. You can create stuff for like your Roku device or your Android, pretty much whatever you want. And what it does is when it creates the actual player for that, it will give you a set of encoding profiles, and it will automatically encode anything that you upload to the correct format for any device. So from there, you would create like playlists. So you could go in here and you can go and these are all live production stuff right now. You could edit a playlist, go through there, change your metadata information. You can actually go in here and add and remove different videos from your playlist and pretty much control everything in real time. If you wanted to upload content into your actual content management system, you could just go and upload a file. Let's see if you go in here and upload a file and it'll just encode everything for you. It'll present that metadata. There's an API on the back end that we built that actually serves all this information to the actual devices. That API is backed with CloudFront and everything runs in AWS as well. So what I can do, I can show you the analytics. Right now, this is just a high-level overview of a particular channel. And we have advertising in there as well. So we have pre-roll, mid-roll, post-roll ads. Pretty much everything is configured, built out. We have self-serve ads as well. That's spread over like 2 or 3 different third-party networks. You can look at your analytics as far as like your visitors, your sessions, demographics. All of this stuff is pretty much pulled straight from the API of Google Analytics. That was the simplest way to achieve this. From there, I can actually show you this. So This is actually a channel that's our test channel that's in the Roku store right now. This is the easiest way to show these to you. So these are different playlists that are collections of videos. I can actually go in and I'll show you this real quick. On the screen right there, you see how it says 1 right now. That's an actual live event in real time. And all of that, it'll even show you we're in Nashville. So all the events can be tracked. Show you this right here. I can pretty much track anything, any event. I can capture anything from any device and send it to our particular database, and then figure out from there engagement data of who's doing what, how they're doing what, and that's the kind of information that people are looking for now, is that engagement data. You know, how do you monetize that? Who's doing, who's watching what? We even have different churches that are on this that use it for donations. So I'm actually writing a back-end piece now that you'll be able to take donations through different devices, gather that information, and then you can see who actually is contributing, what they're watching, the most important content that's out there right now, and what's not performing. So you can take that off and replace it with something else.
So is PBS just going to give you a lot of money?
No, this started as a garage project. I mean, it was to solve a problem, and it just kind of grew into something else from there. Like for right now, we'll look at this, and you'll be able to see live events come through and be captured right here on the screen. Go back to, so you see how it says video details? That's an actual tag that I put in the code to let me know what page that is. So I can see what's going on. I know what channel is actually attached to here. And I can track anything that goes through this. That tells me whenever somebody launches the application, I can see that from there as well. When somebody backs out and doesn't finish an actual video, I get that from here as well. So this gives me percentages, which are all calculated on the back end. So I know how far into a video somebody has watched. We can get all that information together and once again present that to the client.
So if they go back to it, we'll resume. I see the resume button.
Yeah, it's all resumed. It's next. Let me go and show you this. So as far as what I was saying earlier about the real-time stuff, so you see the original order that this is in, where you have live performances first. I can actually go in and go that. You guys remember which one it is? This one. And we'll just switch the order real quick. And the reason why we have to back out of the app is everything is cached. So when it actually downloads the API response, it's cached on the device itself, and then it just parses everything locally. So that was reduce a lot of load on our API as well, on our server. So now you see music videos is first and this one's third. So everything here, it's the whole point of it was real time. We have a lot of people that wanted to upload something, push that data out there, and be able to manage from one location all their content across different devices. So pretty much this, we did a Fire TV app not too long ago, about 3 weeks ago, and same concept. Everything is pushed out in real time. They're able to actually manage engagement, measure engagement, and just use this.
So I'm curious regarding the GUI, I guess on the Roku, how much of this GUI that I see did you have to hand code versus whatever's like a pre-built part of their SDK or whatever?
Well, on this particular one, it's funny. This is actually the grid stream, very similar to what Netflix uses.
Mm-hmm.
They actually do not give you much. They give you a static code example, and then you have to figure out how to make that work for what you're doing.
So like moving the rectangle around when you shift your
different sizes
selection.
and all that. They give you an API, like a small subset of different APIs that you can use. So you just kind of put those together to build your actual layout. So we've done a couple of other ones on here that are complete custom from scratch. It's just a blank canvas.
How about given a series of videos, selecting the thumbnail for each video? Is that part of it, or do you have to give them a thumbnail when you give them the video?
I'll show you this real quick. The pretty much everything is parsed client side instead of server side, and it makes things a lot easier. Like here's an actual JSON response.
Wow.
So I mean, this is 121 videos in one response. I know I need to paginate it, but it is what it is. I know you were thinking that. So yeah, I'll paginate it, but you know, proof of concept, it works for now. But when you start getting into thousands of videos, then you're gonna have to paginate that response. But let me show you. I use JSON on that, so you can get a better view of what's in there. So pretty much this response has different encoding profiles listed. You'll see under like transcodings, there are 3 different encodings for each one. So you have your 1080p, your 720p, there's a 480. I'm getting ready to add later on tonight a 360 for mobile, so it actually plays a lot quicker, and the startup's kind of slow on that. But I mean, other than that,
you said the videos you in the content manager you were putting them in?
yeah.
Is there any way you can scrub or crawl something?
Yeah, it's there are several different ways you can ingest content. The latest one we just added is FTP, where you can just dump files in there. We could write something that would scrub or crawl that would then just dump into a particular user folder and then import that into the actual content management system.
Because I see a lot of personal uses for this. Because we film a lot.
Oh, okay.
As people.
Yeah.
What type of search does that have?
Right now, we haven't built that in, but that wouldn't be difficult. So does anybody else have any other questions? Or?
So were you initially kind of filtering what you were returning to the client based on, I don't know, whatever hardware this is connected to, or was it a preference that the user would set up, or what?
Well, when we first started, it was just it was a Roku channel that was attached to the XML stuff. So when we first built this, it was, you know, how do we get this data to the actual client device and not have to sit here and use Handbrake and encode videos for 30 hours. So it kind of just grew from that. And then it wound up having multiple users. So then we had to figure out how do we break this up and how do we serve different different data to different clients and not have data leakage. So that's where the API came in. So we started using API keys, device IDs, UUIDs, pretty much everything like that.
Right. So, I mean, you're leaving this kind of up to the client to determine, hey, give the option to show this in, I don't know, 360 or 480 if you're on a mobile or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
The client, well, you can do it 2 ways. I mean, the initial way, like with Roku, for instance, we actually built code in that auto detects the screen size. It also auto detects bandwidth. So when you look at, say in here, the bandwidth is maybe 700K. So at 700K, it automatically knows which encoding profile is at 700K, and it downgrades the quality to match that.
That's awesome.
If it gets above that, then it'll start buffering. You'll see skippage and everything else. That's why we moved from MP4s plus licensing with that as well to HLS.
Just another technical detail curiosity. How do you detect the bandwidth? What do you do to?
Well, with Android, they actually have it built into the player.
Okay.
So we don't need to reinvent the wheel for that.
Okay. I was just wondering if you've done
Yeah,
that.
when you use Roku, for instance, they actually do that in their protocol as well. So it's not anything that we had to particularly build from scratch. We just built on top of what was already there.
Well, personally, seeing the guys, the stuff you guys have put together makes me depressed because I'm not doing the work. But I'm impressed.
Thank you. Oh, and I'll add this too. Ed knows this. About a year ago, I didn't even know how to write code. Yeah, I learned Rails, Node.js. I wish I could show the other part, but it was I can't get through the VPN right now because I have only whitelisted certain IPs. But there's an entire backend that's an encoding farm that's spread across AWS. So right now on the back end, we have transcoders set up that sit on a Node.js stack. And whenever you feed in an actual file that detects what format it is, it will take that and then reformat it into HLS, break everything out, create all your master N3U8 files, uploads that all to S3, updates the database, and then gives new CloudFront URLs.
Is there a framework? Node framework for that? Or?
Actually, there is we built the back-end piece of it. We added some new functionality that was in this open source project called Codem. It's called Codem Scheduler and Codem Transcode. So they were these guys over in Russia actually found this 4 months ago, had started some of it, and we just came in and just added the extra support that needed for HLS and the other stuff. So we just kind of tagged along on top of that one.
Pardon? I think. Did you want to talk about something?
I would go last. I'm doing basic latent self-promotion.
Okay.
So.
Was there anybody else that had something they wanted to present? You got it? Zach?
Yeah.
Who are you?
What? So I'm.
Hey, you can sit here if you want. So you can
Do you
get.
have a map changer thing?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
he's.
it should be right over here. Right here.
Oops. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
I asked
Thank you.
somebody for a Mac changer thing and they had me a USB stick.
Hey, we know what Mac changer things are here.
But I was like, no, so.
I also have an HDMI one for that if you'd rather.
I don't think it matters too much. Let's see if this works. Come on, big money, big money. There we go.
So you're on video.
All right. So let me open this up. So I'll start with this little story. So I don't know, some people might know just from being here. So there's this thing in Nashville called the Multi-City Innovation Campaign. It was this thing with Yahweh Yeh, the new director of innovation for the city of Nashville. It was kind of a competition for working with metro governments of Nashville, Boston, Raleigh, and Palo Alto. And there's this competition, you could win $15,000, spot at the Jumpstart Foundry, a handful of other things. So I came up with this idea a few years ago after one of my friends at Vandy, his senior design project was mounting a Android phone outside of his tower's dorm, so the dormitory's on the West End over there, mounting a camera basically to point it at the parking lot. And it was something where he could text this number, and it would tell him how many available spots there were in the most coveted parking spots on campus. So he would know, whether or not to drive around looking for a spot or not. And I thought that was a pretty cool idea. He went on to do a PhD, and I was like, there's probably some money there. So I went and did this at a business pitch competition or two. Got some good feedback, but didn't win anything, and then decided to take it with this thing. Still didn't win the contest, but we got in the Jumpstart Foundry this summer. So I had a couple other guys join me, more business people, non-programming types. Had them sit through all that stuff all summer. And I got a team of another 5 engineers plus myself together. And we developed a solution where you can take smartphone cameras, put them in a waterproof case, hook it up to a solar panel, mount it to an NES telephone pole or a light pole, or wherever else you can mount a camera, and point it down at parking spaces and basically get like analytics on how many people are parking there, how long they're parked there, stuff like that. So I'll just kind of give you a little overview of kind of how that works. Give me 1 minute to open the other project.
You guys call yourself Safe Spot.
Our name is now Spotwise. It was, what was it? It was, can't even remember what it was. We used TrySpot for a while, .co. Now we're Spotwise.co if you want to look us up. But I will show you the Android app since this is mobile stuff, and the Android app's kind of cool. And super basic app for Parking Pilot. I think that's it. So it's pretty cool. So if you're going to have, I don't know, has anybody ever made like an app where they wanted it to run for a really long time? Like preferably you don't want to climb telephone poles every other day? Anybody ever tried to make something like that? If you haven't, it's really hard. So it's really hard to keep something alive, not eating memory, even though you think, but Zach, Java, has its own, memory, deals with memory. It's not C. You don't leak memory in Java, right? That's not true. You can still leak memory in Java. If you're running apps for several days in a row, you'll leak memory. You don't know it, but you will. So we came up with a few really cool things in this, and I'll try to show them off. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to actually make it work right here. It's a little too much setup. How many people are Android app developers and have tried developing an Android app? A couple, handful, a few, 6, things like this. A few people. Has anybody ever tried to use the camera before? 1, 2, couple people. There we go. So anybody ever had problems using the camera before on Android? Cool, yeah. So that was the first thing we had to figure out. We're actually still figuring that one out. So let's see, take single picture activity. So ignore some of the cursing. Some of the comments have, some of the comments are pretty interesting. Not all this was written by me. I normally pick more peaceful comments. So, but let's see if I can zoom this in. Okay, cool, I can. So one of the things that when you take a picture on a phone, you can't have the screen off. So one of the things that I want to do is powering this via solar is I want to save as much battery as I can, because on a rainy day, I don't want it to go out in the first hour. I want it to at least last most of the day. So we try turning the screen off after we've taken a picture. How many people know about wake locks on Android, how that works? So the way Android phones and iPhones and pretty much every kind of phone saves power is it basically turns off the CPU when you're not doing anything. Kind of in the same way that the XP thing uses registers to do everything. You basically send the screen to the graphics and display component of the phone, and then you turn off the CPU and you just don't do anything, kind of sleep for a little while until the screen needs to change or there's some kind of input. And that's how it saves power. It's basically not running the CPU for a large percentage of the time that your phone is on. And so that's how we save power, is we basically turn off the screen and turn the phone to sleep. So if you've ever used Alarm Manager before in Android, unfortunately, I didn't really prepare, so it's going to be kind of goes from place to place sort of presentation. We use Alarm Manager in Android, and there's a really cool way you can set these alarms. Let's see if I can find it exactly. You grab this thing called the alarm service, so the same way you grab any other service in Android, somewhere in here. There we go. Get system service, the alarm service. So I can zoom in there. Alarm service. And you basically set an alarm and you say, elapsed real time, so basically I'm going to give you a number of seconds or milliseconds, and then wake up, so wake up the phone. quite work. Almost zooms all the way over. And so we say, basically, we want to wake up whenever the clock hits whatever time it is right now, plus however often we want to take a picture. Once we've hit that, we want to launch pending intent. So what this does is it lets us put the phone to sleep, and then it'll wake up, every 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever we want to do. And let's find pending intent here. Pending intent, right above it. So pending intent, basically we say, take this intent that we made, which is action take picture. So we'll move on to the action take picture. So every 3 to 5 minutes, we wake up the phone and we say, take a picture. So we go in here and we make a broadcast receiver for this because, again, if you've ever worked with Android, you know that it's really picky. And if you send this broadcast right to opening up a new screen on the phone, because currently, since the phone was just asleep and we just woke up the CPU, the display's not on. So we need to open up the display. But if we try to send it right into an activity, the phone goes, hey, there's no display on, so I'm just not going to launch this and not make any kind of error. So you use a broadcast receiver instead, so do something in the background. And basically we say, start the activity. And you might say, Zach, why don't we turn on the screen right now? Broadcast receiver, because it's like Android's in the background sort of thing, throws an error if you try to turn on the screen. Fun stuff that you learn when you're doing this. So we jump into this take a single picture activity, where we have a lot of log messages because we couldn't figure out what was going wrong. And we unlock the screen. So how do you do that? So it turns out that you also need to be the device administrator. I don't know if anybody's ever seen like an app for like if you use your phone at enterprise where they want security stuff, or my company Audio Labs, we're doing company I work for full time. We're doing like a child net nanny sort of app for your phone. So device administrator to keep you from doing things. So you can only unlock the screen if that's what you are. So that's a whole other game. Unlock the screen and skip some of the stuff. Upload picture. Not quite there yet. Not quite there yet. Well, basically unlock the screen. I believe that once we unlock the screen, we go ahead and uncreate. There we go. So we go ahead and we set the content view to activity intro. Basically, all that is it's a surface view, so camera preview screen. Like I said earlier, if you've ever used a camera on Android, you can't open it or turn it on without a preview screen. If you try to turn on the camera with the screen off, crashes, funny error, doesn't make any sense. You try to turn it on without a surface view, crashes, error message, doesn't make any sense. Try to make the preview, the surface view, invisible, hidden, any combination of that, error message, doesn't make any sense. So if you're ever doing something with the camera, I know a lot about it. Yeah, that was actually one of our tricks for a while, is make it like 1 pixel by 1 pixel. That actually does work. Sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. So once it loads, then we open up the camera, set the parameters for the camera, and we start the preview. Everything, it's really important that you do all the stuff in the right order. Again, something that you learn. If you want to keep your app from crashing, it may work, for 24 hours, 36 hours, and as we learned, that after the 37th hour, 54th minute, and 33rd second, it crashes, which obviously you're not sitting at the phone the whole time. So you come back in the morning to the office, and the phone is crashed. And if you've ever used the debugging, it only holds like a circular buffer of debug messages. So by then, all of your debug messages have long since gone away. So another thing is that we learned is how to, I don't know, has anybody used log4j before? Or SLF4j, logback, any of that kind of stuff? So you can actually set it up to email you log messages. So that was another crucial thing we figured out to do, is doing long, difficult setup, where you don't want to get to the phone. Set it up so that it emails you log messages. Super fun, easy to set up, and infinitely worth it thing. So we set up the camera, and we add a preview callback. So as soon as the camera's ready, it makes that first preview frame, we have it do something. So basically, we set the callback to our activity, which, this is a great design pattern here. I don't know if you've ever used it before, the have one class do everything pattern. Probably something we need to get rid of soon. So once it calls the preview, we call take picture. And in this take picture method, zoom in here, we basically take the picture and then we call upload picture. here's kind of where I'll drop off, almost. So basically, and here's the kind of the question mark part. So we upload the pictures to S3, and this is kind of how our prototype works. It's kind of interesting. If somebody wants to see that, just raise your hand and say. We upload the pictures to S3 from the phone, and then we hit a web server that we created, where the web server goes ahead and creates, has anybody ever heard of Mechanical Turk? Amazon Mechanical Turk before? So we create a Mechanical Turk job where we show a diagram of the parking lot to a person, the previous picture in the parking lot, and the current picture of the parking lot. Hopefully they all line up as long as all the names are correct, which is another problem we ran into. As long as they're all correct, it makes sense to the person answering, and we have them write, you know, a comma-separated list of tell us all the spaces that are currently occupied, and then all the ones that are currently occupied but have different cars in them than last time. And that actually gives us enough data, and people, they'll do it for 10 or 15 cents, you know, per thing. So we actually made something that's a prototype that's not super sustainable because it's kind of costly per day, but it lets us prove kind of our ROI. Sort of
log food that.
What?
I log food that.
Log food?
I take pictures of food.
That's awesome. that is the coolest way to use that. That is really neat.
We can outsource it.
Yeah, well, that's what we thought. We were,
Amazing if I could have sent someone.
we told so many people, a lot of the investors are like, oh, like, you know, what about this, you know, computer vision stuff? And I have a really good prototype that works really well in MATLAB and really well in ideal conditions, just like any other experiment. And disclaimer.
We still have guide dogs.
Yeah. I was going to say disclaimer, I was in a PhD program for like 3 months, so the whole, you know, crazy theory that works really well in like one situation, I'm all about, I can do that really well. When it needs to work in the real world, a little harder. So we upload it to Mechanical Turk, and somebody goes and they basically fill this out for us, and they say, you know, here are the spots that are open, da 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 da. It goes back, and our web server crawls and kind of collects those results every 5 minutes, logs it to the database, and then the guy who owns this lot can log in and see. He can compare his billing data that he gets from some other service provider with what our lot says, and he can say, oh, cool, like, you know, I know that 25 people are parked here right now, but only 11 of them have paid. I should probably send out my my enforcer guy to go give out some tickets. So that's kind of the low-tech version. High-tech later, you know, be all integrated, everything, but we're not there yet. So the other cool mobile stuff, and I'll go back to the finishing this, is we'll find our upload picture here. So let's see if I can figure out what this does. So every time we upload this picture, we upload it to S3, and we do a few things, and this is kind of for our experimentation. We grab the battery level, which we found was really important when we're debugging, is why is this not uploading pictures anymore? We can't figure it out. It stopped after 2 hours. The battery ran out. So that's nice to know. What else? Save it somewhere, upload it to S3. We have like a lot ID and a camera ID for it. This little sad face if the file's null. Apparently that happened for a while. So we call S3 client. I don't know if anybody's ever used the Java APIs or the SDK for all the Amazon stuff. It's really cool. It's really fun if you're trying to figure out like how to do stuff on AWS. They have a ton of, like, if you want to play with S3, you want to play with SES or SNS or any of the extra services. Then comment it out, just because this gets expensive if you're running this in tests. Mechanical Turk, creating the hits is what they call the human interface things. And basically we just send the file name, the form that we use like automatically knows like what we're using. Then once we're done, once we've uploaded it and we successfully know it got there, we delete the file. Really important, it'll fill up really quickly if you save all those files. Another problem we learned. Sleep for a little bit, because even though you'd think that now that it's finished and we can turn off the camera and everything, the camera's really fun to work with and it'll crash if you turn it off too quickly. So we sleep for a little while and finish and turn the screen off. I actually don't know where the turn the screen off code is. There we go. So on destroy, so when we call finish on it, we tell it to turn off. We go ahead and call this lock method, which is where I said we had to do the device admin stuff. So we basically call lock the phone. So if you had a PIN, you know, it'd make you re-enter the PIN number, but in our case, it just turns off the screen. So that's how it works. And then an alarm is hanging out in the background and turns the phone back on 3 minutes later to the exact same thing. So that's what it goes into if you want to make something that runs for a really, really long time. A lot of peppered log messages and a lot of really random ways to get it to do what you want. Like register for device administrator when it doesn't really make a lot of sense. A lot of stuff like that.
Which phone do you see that?
Do what?
Which phone do you see that?
Nexus 5? Yeah.
You use that fixed form factor?
Do what?
You only want that.
That's what we're using on right now. The reason that we tried using it on a Nexus 7 the other day, but somewhere we have some code that asks, yeah, get the optimal preview size. For some reason, it crashes somewhere in here when we try to use this on other phones, so I think we have hard-coded the resolution somewhere. Yeah. It makes it easy. We also found a case that works really well, because making these waterproof is also kind of hard, but most phones aren't too waterproof. So, yeah, any questions on
Sorry, you couldn't crowdsource the components by geolocation without
say that again?
I'm wondering if you couldn't find some way to crowd scrape geolocation public photos without ever having.
You probably could. The problem is that we want the information about the lot about every 5 minutes. So.
But during like baseball games, you have a lot of photos. Not necessarily important.
I feel it's, yeah, it's kind of a boring
I don't
place.
know. I've seen some of them. I kind of stalk geo stuff. I see some interesting work. And plus the outside things that take photos all the time. There's been a mirror camera class and
yeah, well, I can see, especially if people leave the the GPS tags and the metadata.
Not to mention drop cams for the public.
Yeah.
My whole house is covered with drop cams for the public. You know what I'm saying? So why couldn't you just? I always look for how to get rid of it.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. If we could find stuff like that, I think the problem is mostly that there just aren't things like that in the places we're looking for.
Would the city let you use their surveillance cameras?
They don't have that many, and the city actually avoids surveillance cameras. So our first idea was to attack cities with this business plan, was to say, hey, we know you guys want to know like how people move around in your cities and where people go and where people park, but they're like really against putting cameras up because they like really don't want to be like Big Brothery. They don't want to appear that way.
Well, there's a ton of liability for them as well.
Yeah, huge amount of liability if they have cameras, because all of a sudden, oh, you have cameras for the city? Like, we have all these crimes that are unsolved, like, help us. And then you'd be like, we delete our pictures after 5 minutes. And they're like, no, you don't. They're like, I promise I wrote it. Yes, we do. So.
I mean, it would be a completely different model, but you could possibly have people where they actually self-report data on their phones and in exchange, get
dollar off parking.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a million different ways. There's a lot of interesting problems too, because I don't know if anybody pays for monthly parking in any of those lots where they're normally have to pay things. It's a whole new problem because they don't go up to the little terminals to type in the lot or the space or whatever they're in. So a whole lot of problems that, yeah, crowdsourcing or alternative ways of getting information would be pretty useful. So.
Who sells surveillance cameras to businesses? Is there some monopoly?
That's we use it to the city.
Every business has surveillance cameras. Who's the AT&T enterprise surveillance cameras?
There are a lot of small vendors that do that.
Yeah, it's like
actually,
I think this would be more than
I mean, TDOT has video feeds.
They have the highway video feeds, yeah.
But
I
I
know a lot
don't
of
know
people
that,
try to
like,
use
I think
those.
inside the cities, it's kind of no man's land.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure with for the business surveillance cams. Like I said, one of the things we found is that also the regulation changes when we are using live cameras, like video cameras, as opposed to taking a picture every 5 minutes, because then we have to be like licensed and bonded as a security company. What?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, these.
The other night, I was just showing some people work the other day. Last night, I was in bed, and I went to update my dog on, and now I offered to connect my Nest. He said to go to bed, it's usually 73. You should probably go to bed at 74.
That's awesome.
It's just crazy how quickly these things are starting to pop.
That's really cool.
It's strangely if they had an Internet of Things talk by Yvette Stanton, and she develops like a smart sensor networks in London that are controlled. It's all written in Clojure, and it's very sweet the way she's put it together. But the interesting thing she had shown us, like it was very, frustrating for her personally because she had, of course, put all of the gadgets in her home and everything, reports. But they all have their own particular interface. Each device ships with its own application. She's like, look, I don't want a dozen applications. I want a single user interface that does everything. And so she demonstrated, she had written it herself. It's a very nice little web form, and it would report, to her the status of everything, and she could, make adjustments in the system.
So what I did was I took everything and pushed it into the account by life system, and then that gets approved.
It seems like a lot of people are programming those unified.
Well, yeah, because if you get rid of the keyboard and the screen, well, that does. This is programming. You're just not thinking about it.
I'm very glad to hear y'all won and made it into the Foundry.
Yeah, a very fun experience. Was just there earlier today, talking to people to try to raise $600,000, which is a little scary, but
it's nothing.
Yeah, we'll see if it works. Trying. Fingers crossed. Any other questions or anything? Cool, thank you.
Does anybody else want to present? Okay, I have something that this is going to be half failed presentation, half shameless plug, so I'm going to go slightly. Shameless plug is that, okay, let me just, first I went and bought a Google Glass like a year ago when we got the invitation as GDG because Ed and I and Chris and a couple of people organized this group. They invited us before they made the invite public to buy a Google Glass for $1,500, which is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but I thought, hey, I'm going to be a rock star. I'm going to develop an app and get famous for it. And where the power's been $50 now. So I did that, and needless to say, I'm not famous or rich yet, but I sat down for about 3 hours and brainstormed what it was I'm going to do. Given what the current status of the user interface operating system, et cetera, are. One of them was I wanted to have an on-screen viewfinder, which I demonstrated in February as like the Meetup topic of the month. And that's pretty cool, but subsequently they made it part of the OS because they stole me, so they have things, not me. But anyway, the shameless plug part is that my daughter and I saw that the Roxy County Players, the people that put on plays in Springfield, Tennessee, were holding an audition call for To Kill a Mockingbird. It's one of my favorite stories. I have a son named Atticus, that means he didn't meet anybody. And so the two of us went to an audition for this play. I got the part of Pet Cake, and my daughter got the part of Male Eagle, the white trash rape accuser that is evil. But the reason I'm telling you all this is because one of my ideas that I wrote down in a 3-hour brainstorming session was to develop a teleprompter app so that if you're giving a presentation and you need to know what to say next, you'll have in your face your presentation. And as you say it, you'll scroll past it. And I would have demonstrated, but as I said to a bunch of people, my glass has stopped moving in the last week, and I don't really know why. It probably has something to do with the app that I already know. But the user interface of the glass, if you're not familiar with it, is traditionally you swipe left or swipe right to go forward or back in your app, and you swipe down or tap. You swipe down to dismiss, you tap to do whatever activity is pertinent at the time. And that's pretty much limited to the and the user interface is they recommend that you do cards that don't scroll. And that always kind of bothered me because they want you to have all of your user interface on screen. see where you swipe left or right, and it shows you in the car. Page. And I'm sure they also have focus groups determine that this is the way to do it, but I thought, well, I really would like to do it a different way, so
Up and down.
yeah, I had my user interface have the text in essentially a scroll view that is however long the script is, and I actually ended up typing in a lot of scripts because I couldn't get the PDF reader to recognize the script that I had. So I ended up typing in all this text of the script to go Mockingbird, and it's a pretty cool app because if you save the line of text in the script, it scrolls past it just like it's supposed to. The problem is if you're not familiar with Google Glass, the thing about using the glass is you have to look up to see the actual screen. Like it's basically constructed so that if you're looking forward, you're doing what you normally do. If you need to reference your device, you look up and to the right. And the problem with reversing and play with that is you really have to look at the other app for your cues so they know what you're doing. And so this app didn't end up being really that useful. But it was a good tutorial for me for putting together something thought a little bit outside the box for what they were doing for the user interface experience for Google Glass. And I wish we could demonstrate it on screen.
Well, when does the use one? Just to remind us. You self-talk to that. So that's the useful if you're talking to a crowd?
Yes, well, it could be, as long as you were able to, as long as it didn't bother you, you had to look up at your audience and listen while you use computers. Because theoretically, it'll sort past what you just said, and then it'll be there when you need it. So it is called. Yeah, I haven't done this yet, but what I ultimately wanted to do was essentially I'm going to have a Glass Mirror SDK app where I'll upload a zip file that contains the script, and it'll be, I haven't figured out how to lay out different scenes or chapters or whatever. Like this is Act 1, Scene 2, Act 2, Scene 1, and so I have the different files for each one. And the idea is that the user of the web app would upload to the web app the rest of the zip file that contains all this stuff laid out as directed by the framework, and then laid out.
It's a way like all the other actors who are already where they can actually my lines would start scrolling after the lines started. Where
It's theoretically possible. I didn't do anything about it. There's definitely, I'm not synchronizing with anything else other than voice. And also, if you tilt your head up, it scrolls up. If you tilt your head up, it scrolls down. Tilt your head down, it scrolls up.
About wait.
What?
To wait until next step.
Wait is a gesture that I can.
Is it open yet?
Oh yeah. Well, okay. I don't know about like documentation lines, but yeah, I harnessed that back in February when I wrote that video capture app. So if you can get any texture, and you can actually get extra sensor detail other than just wait. You can go into that sensor and then figure out because it's a proximity sensor that detects your eyelid. So if your eyelid, if your eye suddenly is closer to the sensor, that's your eyelid. And that's how it detects the movement. So it's doable. And, yeah, I had all this in mind, but I didn't get that far with it.
I think it would be interesting from an audience perspective if all the actors would really have to do a dialogue, because someone like me would love to start changing dialogue mid-play.
Well, okay. to end the shameless plug, to kill a Mockingbird, we put on 7 performances already in Springfield, and I know Springfield is a hell of a long way from anywhere here, but it's really only about 30 miles north. So if this weekend you're looking for something to do, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m., we've got performances, and I think we're doing a good job. We have audiences averaging about 150 people. 2 years ago and last year, I participated in productions of Any You're Done, which is a story of Annie, and Big River, which is Buck Men. And we had audiences a lot bigger, talking like 600 people. I mean, when I say Spartan County players, you don't think it's a bunch of amateurs putting on a crap show. They do it right. You know, I'm just kind of stepping into it and pulling the role with these guys. So, if you have a chance this weekend, come by. And if I can get my Google Glass to boot, the last performance I'm coming out for the curtain call during Glass and
I just did a presentation in Vienna.
Austria? Austria?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I filmed while I was eating, and they filmed me, and I saw that,
What did you see?
I'm not an editor, so I don't know how to actually, from my point of view, I was thinking when they talked about the actual presentation.
From a Google Glass?
Yeah.
What the, you know, app did you use to record it? Video?
Me?
Yeah.
I just recorded.
Okay, because there is now
It took
a Glass app for recording and streaming at the same time. And it's made live in like 30 seconds. In real time, you know, so 30 seconds after you start recording, it starts being played.
It's revolutionary for AV conferences. People just get there.
So, my thing is over. You guys talk. When it comes to Springfield speaking, it's awesome. I promise. I'm from Woodbury as soon as you come. Oh yeah, they don't go on. We built a Mongo set.
I've got another thing. If anybody is interested, I don't know if I said it the last one or time before that. We set up as kind of like volunteers among the mobile development community, like a little thing where we're teaching like a Saturday enrichment course for teaching kids. I think they're in 7th grade, 6th grade, something like that. Pretty young. Teaching them how to do like mobile development, or technically we're doing web development because it's a little less tool heavy. You know, Eclipse. I can't handle Eclipse, so 7th graders might have some struggles with Eclipse. So we do that one Saturday every month, and then there's tutoring sessions on every other Saturday. It's from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's over at Nashville Prep, which is in the Sylvan Park area. And if that sounds like something you'd be interested in volunteering, either to teach a class or just come hang out, maybe help tutoring, we would love some help. Most of what we're doing is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then the server thing we're doing is Play Framework, so it's in Java, and it's pretty easy. It's like a one-day tutorial, you'll understand the basics sort of thing. So if that's something you're interested in, just come talk to me, say hey. Send me an email too, that'll work.
We
I'm on
have
the
some
Meetup.
information on the G+ side.
Yeah.
Is it Republic?
Yeah, it's Republic Charter Schools.
You guys want me to class group here? Do you want me to class group for now?
I don't think there is a one yet. Is there?
Oh, there's no one?
Not that I know of.
No.
But we already Google development.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good first turnout for our class a couple weeks ago, so it's a lot of fun. Kids, it was about 14 kids, and they're smiling and laughing. And we got through a lot of the errors. And next class should have quite a few less errors. So, but, yeah, put together a lesson that we got through a good chunk of it. They could make their own pages and then load them up in the browser and make changes and see it happen. And like, it's really cool watching them, smiling and thinking it was really cool. And they just changed the background color, what the text said. Simple stuff, but I thought it was a lot of fun. Thanks.
Right.
What?
It's like the coolest thing ever.
Go ahead.
So back in the 1990s, the olden days, there weren't a whole lot of tech groups in Nashville or the Southeast in general. It was tough for us to meet up. So some friends of mine and I started a computer convention, technology convention. And we built it actually as a hacker convention. Hacker in the original non-criminal work groups. If you're passionate about hardware, software, technology in general, and have to be computers, we had this convention for you, and I ran it for the first 5 years because I was an idiot and I kind of volunteered for stuff like that. And I had no idea what I was doing, but the convention grew and we got good press locally and then regionally and even started nationally. And then I moved down to Atlanta for a decade. And came back recently and took care of my mom, so my sister could stay in school, get a degree, and took over the convention. Convention is called Freaknik. It takes place Halloween weekend here in Nashville, and surprisingly enough, we are now the longest running nonprofit hacker convention in the world. So, if you've got a project you're passionate about, if you want to tell people about it, if you want to present, we have a variety of different formats, hour-long presentations, TED-style talks, 20 minutes, lightning talks, workshops, or anything that goes longer than that. Hardware, software, computer technology, space technology, biotech. If you've got a kid who's in Georgia Tech right now who built a nuclear reactor out of stuff he bought off of eBay when he was 16. What? His name is Chad Ramey. You can look him up online. Nuclear fusion reactor. Runs off deuterium and mines from tap water.
We've also got a real-life superhero called the Crimson Fist, who uses geolocation information to isolate high-crime neighborhoods, which he then goes and patrols and does like good deeds, like saves cats out of trees and stuff. So he's pretty good at presenting on how he goes about fighting crime.
Yeah, I actually designed crime information for
When I was in Atlanta, I worked extensively with DragonCon, which is a sci-fi convention down there. It's heard of it, 65,000 people this year. I learned a lot. Star Wars, Star Trek, they're fun. I've always been a science fact person, not a science fiction person, so I love people like the Mythbusters, Richard Gordon, who went to the moon, Apollo 12, real astronauts and scientists taking a lot of that stuff up for 3 years. So we're kind of like a collection of technology conventions. We're at the Millennium Maxwell House. We said Halloween weekend. We've got some slots open if anyone wants to present on any type of topic. I've got cards here. We've got the website on it. The website's got forms for talk submissions that all go directly to me. If you've got something you want to sell, we've got some vendor tables available. Cheapest vendor tables you're going to get in science fiction or technology conference in the Southeast. Basically, they would be free except for hotel charges for the space. I got that same. If you want to sponsor, have a lot of eyeballs, look at your company, project, whatever. We've got sponsorship packages too. Just throw them out there. Necessary. Anyone wants a card, doesn't have one already. I'll pass them around. There's even a little crypto challenge on the front. You don't have to have a computer to solve that. It's pen and paper type stuff. These are all pre-World War II cipher techniques on that. So if you're good at crossword puzzles or word puzzles or whatever, solve it. And then fabulous prizes. Bring the target convention to get discount on sponsors. More happy to ask them.
So not all the sessions we have XP sensors that talk to parking lot issues.
Or fight crime.
Yeah.
If you love
parking lot.
If you love technology and you're passionate about it, you want to talk about it, and you want to hang out with other people all weekend, we actually start Thursday and run through late Sunday. And maybe go to the place you want to spend Halloween weekend. We also have a big party.
Where's that conference again?
The Millennium Maxwell House, it's just off Rosa Parks Boulevard. All the information again is on the
We're also
website.
going to have sort of a mini experience music program.
Oh yeah, we just decided a couple of days ago. We've got this big pavilion out at the hotel. We might as well put it to use during the day. The ham radio people are going to be using it at night. During the day, we hooked up with the Nashville Circuit Vendors Hall, so we're recruiting electronic experimental musicians to do performances during the day. So if you're into that too, okay. I agree. That's news to me. Huh? Oh, the sponsorship packages, they start from 500 and go up to 5,000 if you throw a lot of money. If you want to throw more, then by God, we'll be glad to take it. We'll even put, mints on your hotel pillow.
Very good.
We're working with the Nashville Linux Users Group, the Atlanta Linux Enthusiasts, EC404, which is the info set list. Atlanta, Free Size Atlanta, the Makerspace, Makers Local 256, which is out in Birmingham. Some NASA guys from the Marshall Space Flight Center, people coming in from makerspaces in Kentucky, South Carolina, North Carolina, pretty much every place within about 300-mile radius. It's been in the last 3-4 months reaching out to every pet group I can find and saying, hey, come picnic, let's do stuff. Make it big and fun again.
So now,
There you go. That was my pitch. Oh yeah, one other tagline. A Freaknik is like by the community for the community. Consider it your conference too. Tell me what you want to do. We handle logistics. There you go. I'm done.
Anyone else have anything before we wrap up here? Okay. Stick around for a moment. If you haven't seen Google Card work, which I don't know if it's called Oculus Rift. It's kind of a hardware implementation of the organizer. It's pretty nice. Come check it out later. Also, we have Android TV here.
Yeah.
Your glasses are good, right?
Yeah. Well, let me see one more time. I don't think it is.
that's a cardboard Oculus Rift.
Yes.
Okay.
What's this story?
No, glass does not want to boot. But, oh, sorry.
Oh, no problem.
I haven't seen it, but I heard it's really
Yeah, come check it out.
Before anybody goes, you might want to try and play this
I
game.
have a DK2.
Oh, okay. Let me finish up this
Okay,
comment.
good.
Second thing is, next month we're doing the iPhone versus Android cage match. We're two platforms together. We're gonna have a panel discussion, and the goal is more to illuminate things you may not know about each platform, and kind of learn something if you're stuck on one, if you're stuck on the other. So it's gonna be a friendly little cage match. We'd like to get some nominations for speakers and maybe some questions you'd like answered. So
I nominate Andrew McElroy.
Write that down.
yeah, I'm going to put a some kind of form up on the GDG page we have. GDG Nashville now, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, GDG Nashville, you can find our presence there. We also have primarily we use Meetup for scheduling these meetings, and we use the GDG side for discussion afterward. And I'm going to put something on the next couple days for questions and nominations. So hopefully got with the bang in October. Right now, I'd like to have a vote by applause for the presentations we see tonight. And what from that vote is going to get a Chromecast, which is probably a hard projector. And
High tech.
and we also have Joseph's Choice Award,
Oh yeah.
which we'll get that out now and we'll get done on that. So for those that presented, I got a little decibel meter here. So let's get
Between the
well,
scientifically.
you check that you know I can't say. So for Henry's XP project, and I get talk for Julian's right now, Roku or Roku.
Video hosting platform.
And Zach's follow up on the tri-spot. Awesome. Looks like you get the Chromecast.
Woo! Who got second place?
What's your choice, man?
He said it's your choice.
Joseph's Choice Award.
Okay, what I have here is a phantom keystroker, and it allows you to prank your coworker by plugging something into a spare USB slot, and it wiggles their mouse every 5 seconds, well, a configurable amount. Wiggles their mouse, it turns on caps lock, turns off caps lock, and I don't know.
I think you need that at the fountain.
I think you need this. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Consolation.
Thank you.
I hope you get much use out of it, and hopefully you won't get fired.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you some of this.
He's an entrepreneur. He can't do
No, I do it to my manager. I've done it to my manager like 3 times now. I'm still like,
Watching the short game?
Oh yeah, the shark game. This Android TV, around the time of I/O, Google sent out whoever was subscribed to their Google Plus page a notice saying that we're going to be previewing Google TV, or excuse me, Android TV, which is like the successor to Google TV at I/O. And if you would like one for development purposes, send us an email and let us know. So I was like, yeah. So, and of course, I thought at the time that I would be doing development, but as soon as we got it in our house, we found that we could hook it up to the TV and put this game on it. And I have 4 kids, so this takes a lot of time. It's awesome, but I don't know why it's not like Sharknado. Where's the audio? Okay, well, I guess audio's usually when he jumps out of the water, you hear. It sounds like Jaws or something. Oh, it's unplugged. That's why. Before you go, you need to check out Hungry Shark Evolution. I think this one plays Game of the Year, and it's really addictive. You're not supposed to go into the mines because they kill you. But that's okay, because you can just start over. So, you know, the meeting's over. Y'all don't have to sit and watch me do this. It's just kind of like, you know, I want to show you. You can do stuff like this. And you can do this on an HDMI TV. I don't know how good it is compared to, like, you know.
Oh my God, you can get sharp freaking lasers in there.
And I can't afford the laser yet. You can get a rocket launcher, you can get a laser, you can get all kinds of good stuff.
What is this?
But the idea is you have to constantly eat.
What is this called?
Hungry Shark Evolution. Because if you don't eat, you die. Whoops. And there's a map. So you're supposed to watch out for the, oh, you need short swordfish. Oh yeah, I have played this now for about probably 18 hours total. I mean, my 14-year-old sister watched me and says, "Really, Daddy, you're that guy?"
I gotta say, this isn't the future I thought I was going to be in when I was a kid, where your glasses don't run up. It's the game. It's the game. This has that Chromecast. An Android TV can do Chromecast, anything a Chromecast can do. But it's got a lot more power. Shark games with freaking lasers in their head. It's not quite like 2001: A Space Odyssey, bases and shuttles and stuff, but it'll do until we get there.
Exactly, right. Something to do until we get there.
It was basically a bunch of smart TVs that this stuff inside of it. They're basically just
high power laser.
Oh yeah.
The last time so the laser shark freaking lasers in their head.
That's awesome.
And so we just cross-platform development, where basically we program jobs across jobs and
so no, permanent job.
I think that maybe he's been wanting to come to this meeting, but he travels constantly. So it's very difficult to get to these. And they keep saying, when you are talking about having to oh, that's perfect for us.
How did
Well, I'm pretty good at you know, have to bring in their but go on and see about like comparing the differences in developing on the
we've had some mercury will look at shops that does a lot of programs initiatives like the TED Talk happening at the Fox News and a couple other programs. One of our co-workers, Chris Ray, works there. And we've had people on the trying today. And hopefully we can hit that down. If nobody else volunteers for something, they can do something. Because I can talk about it, but I'm not the best. Somebody can do that.
We're obviously
It's just a name.
yeah. I mean, in the sense that, I mean, Andrew probably a great idea. I have no idea. Like, is it kind of, is Nashville divided between I put an Android, or is it just the Android?
Nashville is divided between .net.
Yeah.
There's not really we're going to do it. Oh yeah, it's like the Raspberry Pi, but it's
yeah, it's actually it's it runs on Raspberry Pi. They actually have so the uses that I've heard for us are more like this one. Stuff. If you go, the website is sonicadvertise.com. There's a lot of demonstrations and like but I was straight to and they're actually the creator of this and then there were robots that were programmed like having that would respond a certain way to the sounds of the music. So they were robots live streaming. I
have a friend who works in Nashville. When you get to something. Anyway, serious developer composing I think you can basically give it by word as a series. It basically generates a series of like mini tracks that go on with each other. Not like sure. More about like algorithms that would use sounds and then combine sounds to make future sound, and then more compositional standpoint. It would be very interesting. Yeah, well, I guess working with artificial intelligence. Yeah. Like computer they can do. Yeah, and it was decent. I mean, the last work that I heard was remember right, it's like kind of like somewhere between classical and jazz, and it had a like a clarinet and think I had a clarinet and a synth keyboard. Sounding
That's part of it. I'm hoping to dive into sound nice. Frankly, I'm working on the kernel, and it's
how it's a kernel. You're writing, trying to rewrite the kernel?
No, I'm trying to submit patches in the kernel.
Oh.
Like on the driver. There's a the GNOME project has coordinated with a lot of other FOSS projects to do an outreach program where you can.
Oh, women in technology.
So, you basically like apply to one of the FOSS projects, participate in submit patches to the project, like start working on it, and submit an application, and then you can get an internship for 3 months for $500 working on the FOSS project. And not a lot of people get actually paid to work on FOSS projects, so that's amazing. And you get, of course, you get an internship during those 3 months as your intern, like the FOSS project you're on. So it's a great way to just like build experience very quickly and just like get involved in FOSS and.
I just realized we're recording.
Yeah.
Want to stop.